A couple of days ago, I made a video where I explained to you the importance of having trade filters, and my suggestion for you was to make them in advance, bookmark them, to have a much smoother leak start. Um, the main advantage for those of you who didn't watch the video, it's you are going to get good items for cheap so that you can progress much faster, you can get started much sooner to farm currency, so overall, it's going to be a much better experience for League Start. In this video today, I wanted to go in depth on how to set up trade filters and explain to those of you that don't know how to use the trading site properly. I'm going to show you how to actually set up trade filters, how to use the stat filters here, and then I'm going to give you some examples of actual trade filters that I would use uh, for league start. Now, in this video, I will not give you my entire list of trade filters. I'm just going to give you some examples of how to set them up properly. That being said, if you already know um, how to use the trading site, you should definitely skip this part of the video and jump only on the trade filters, or don't watch this video at all. But from my experience, you should definitely learn how to set up trade filters. They help you tremendously. It makes a difference. It's night and day difference if you don't have trade filters. So let's go over how to use the trading site. Here you can select the category. So for example, if I want a wand, I can search for a wand, or if I want uh, a claw or something else, I can select it here. I want a base jewel, I can go for the base jewel. Pretty sure every one of you knows this. Right here, it's very important when you are making trade filters that the items are not mirrored, and also they are not corrupted, like this. Excuse me. Now, you can play out with the buyout price, but these are not really important. What is important is right here, the stats. So there are um, there are pseudo stats like this. For example, if I search for a ring that has total cold resistance, and here it says pseudo, it means in total added together. As you can see right here, this is only the implicit. It does not look at it does not search for an item that has a suffix with cold resistance. This is total. This is pseudo. If you search, however, cold resistance and it's an explicit, now it will show me any ring that has crafted cold resistance as a suffix. So this is the difference between pseudo and um, explicit. Another way to search for modifiers is to use this sign right here above tab. So basically, when you search when you search an item, you would go total, and if I say elemental, or if I say total resistance, as you can see, it only gives me this modifier. But if I put this and I say total resistance, now it gives me uh, every modifier that contains these characters in a word. So if it has a word that contains these characters in this order, TOT, and then RES in another word in this order, it will give me all the results possible. So how you would use it, for example, if you need a modifier and you don't know exactly how it is typed, like for example a watcher's eye, or if you're looking for a fractured, instead of typing the name of the fracture and then going all the way to the bottom when you find the fracture, you can just type like this, fracture, and let's just say to level skill gems, and now it gives me all the modifiers that are fractured like this. You can even type IMP from implicit, and then you say mana reservation efficiency of skills, and now it shows you all the implicits that has these words in it. And now you can also type, for example, enchant, and now it will show you all the enchants. And now you say vortex, for example, and now shows you all the enchants that have the vortex characters in their words. This is a much easier way to search when you're using the search. Now, also there are 5 different filters. The most basic one is end. So if I the default one, it's also end. So when you type here, let's just say that's a ring with total maximum life, it is going to be pseudo. And because it's pseudo, if I type here 70, it will give me a ring that also added together strength, total maximum life from the prefix and from the implicit, it's in total 70. It shows right here. This is the value. So the items that are shown must have this value. This is the first stat filter. If you click this button right here, you can change the stat filter to something else. And here you can add another stat group, and you can select what type of an item you want to appear. So um, if right now I go to not, it will show me any item that has these stat filters and it does not have any of these. Like for example, if I type this gain mana per enemy killed, mana per enemy killed, it will not show me any item that uh, has life but also has gain mana per enemy killed between the values of nothing to 2. So this item, if I press search right now, it should disappear. As you can see, it disappeared. However, uh, if I make it like this, um, if I just um, I can also put, for example, let's just take a higher value, like for example, this cast speed. It's 11% cast speed. So let's just say cast speed. And now look at this ring. So which ring is it? So it's a Cataclysm Hold Moonstone ring. This ring right here. Now it will show it because although it has cast speed, the values, the minimum, the maximum value that it should not show would be 10. But since it has 11, it will show. As you can see, look at it right here, Cataclysm Hold Moonstone ring. His value is 11. It's much higher than 10, so it will show. So this is a very good item. This is a very good filter if you don't want to show your items with a modifier that is very bad, is very low. The next filter would be an if. So for example, we go back to this ring with cast speed. Now it will show me all the let's type cast speed. It will show me all the rings with 70 maximum life and will only show me cast speed if it's between the values of, let's just say, 1, 8 and 20. So if we scroll like this, we should see the Cataclysm Hold Moonstone ring. It shows me this ring because it has 11 cast speed and its value it's between this interval 8 and 20. If we put here 12, um, 12 like this, it will not show me that Cataclysm Moonstone ring. It simply disappeared because its value is 11% cast speed, and this interval where it says show me an item that has this stat only if it's between 12 and 20. So that's the if filter. And the most important one, it's going to be count probably that you're going to use most of the time. So let's just say total maximum life. once again on the end filter, and on count, let's just say you put an empty prefix and an empty suffix. If you press search right now, if it will show me a bunch of items that have only this stat right here, because on the count stat filter you have to give it values, and you can since here I didn't put any value, it will not show me it will not apply this filter. But if I put a value, it means um, the next item that the you are going to search, it has to have 70 life, and since I put 1, it means that it must have either uh, one empty prefix modifier or one suffix modifier, either or. But if you put 2, it will show any ring that has 70 maximum life and must have at least 2 of these stat filters, like empty prefix and empty suffix. And here you can put crafted suffix. So for example, if I put it like this, it can also show me a ring that has 3 prefixes, so no empty prefix, but it must have an empty suffix and a crafted suffix. Or it can show me a ring that has an empty prefix and a crafted suffix, but there's no empty suffix. Things like that. So this is how it works. As you can see right here, it's showing me a ring that has both empty prefix, empty suffix, and a bunch of different items. So this is the count. This is probably the most useful one, and the last one is going to be weighted sum. Probably you're never going to use this. It's pretty much useless, but this is how it works. So let's just say total maximum life, and let's just attribute this a value. Let's just say it's 10. For every point of maximum life, this item will have a sum of 10. Because here I didn't put any value, if I press search, it will give me all the possible rings that exist on the market, even those that don't have maximum life. Here, because it has in total from this strength, it has 13.5 maximum life, it's a weighted sum of 135. If you put here, let's just say 790, it will show me any ring that has a total of 790 weighted sum or more. And what this weighted sum means is for every point of life is multiplied by the value we put here, we attributed to this stat, which is 10. And since this item here has a total of maximum life of 79, the sum it's 790. For example, this ring right here has a total maximum life because of the strength of 95.5, so its sum is 95.5 times 10, because this is the value that we attributed. Most likely you're never going to use this. So this is how you use the trading site. Uh, would be here if you want to buy in divines to change this. Mm, there are some other uh, things you can do, like for example you can type veiled, and here you can put if you're looking for a specific veiled, you search this, or you can just type veiled, or you can just use let's just say hunter for hunter influence if you're looking uh, for a map affected um, by guardians, for example, by a conqueror, you type citadel and things like that. um, but these are pretty much the basics of using the trade site. Now let's go over trade filters. Once again, I repeat it, in every for every trade filter you're going to make, you have to uncheck the corrupted and mirrored. And the basic thing when making trade filters is you want to get an item, and this item gives you there are many ways to achieve the same item, um, and you can do it for cheaper. For example, if I search for an item that has total resistance of 160 and maximum life of 50, just like I did in the previous video, you'll see that the price is at least 50 kills, 60, 80, 90. Now, you don't want to pay 50 kills for such a ring, and here's why. First of all, you can lower the values just a little bit. You can just type, let's just say 158, and now you can see there are much better options. So just by giving up 2% total resistances, it shows you a ring that is 15 kills cheaper, but still you can make it even cheaper than that. When making trade filters, you have to know about crafting. In case, in our case, because we are searching for a ring, we look here. So we are interested in maximum life, which is a prefix, and these are the values that it can go up to, and the resistances, which are all suffixes or implicits. Let's just check this button right here and add another stat group. Now you want an count, excuse me, and you want uh, empty prefix or a crafted prefix. You want just one of these because you can craft life on that ring. And now if you hit search, it will show you a bunch of results, one of which is this right here, uh, which is gives you maximum life. So what you could do, because if it has this stat, you cannot craft once again on it. So what you could do, it's either have a note so that don't show me any results that has this uh, total maximum life, uh, or actually it should be explicit maximum life like this, um, of 45. So now it will still show me items that have above 45 maximum life. Or you can just say, if you don't want to use the not filter, you can use the if filter, um, maximum life, show me items with maximum life uh, prefix between the values of 45 to infinity, for example. And now it will once again show me this item. However, you you don't want this uh, maximum life to be, because uh, you don't want to pay, 49 35 kills for this. You want it without this maximum life. uh, so what you could do is you either ignore this right here, or let's just say you go to the craft of exile site and you go to the crafted bench right here. So in the notes section, you would search what is the highest value. So the highest value would be 55 maximum life. So in the note right here, you either put it 56. So now you know that they don't show unless they have uh, catalyst, fertile catalyst, but it's highly unlikely that you'll see items with catalysts this early in the league. So now you have this item right here, 48 maximum mana, elemental resistances. You buy this, you pay 5 chaos for this, you also pay 3 or 4 chaos to craft life on it, and you have a ring similar to the one at 35 chaos, except you paid 8 chaos for it. And you can buy this at 10 chaos, and also you can lower the values. You can just say 155, for example, and maybe it shows up many more results. Um, that's one way to do it. Another way to do this would be like this. Let's just say that your item can have life, so a total of maximum life. Let's just say you want at least 45 maximum life, which can be crafted. But now you can lower the resistances. You can just say 120 resistance, and you want a crafted suffix or a crafted or an empty suffix. And here's a catch. When you search for an item like this, it will show you items with crafted maximum life and 120 total resistances. This is bad because you don't want a crafted life, because you want to have the ability to craft uh, another resistance, since you are in the market for 120 resistance. So you put a note and you say, don't show me any items that have crafted prefix, and when you when you press search, these items will disappear. Look, so they disappeared. When you search for an item like this, most of the time it will give you items with resistances crafted by the players. Not all the time, but most of the time people will just see, hey, I can craft a resistance and I can sell this. What you could do in this case, you could uncheck the crafted suffix and you are just looking for an empty suffix. And here, as you can see, you pay 10 kills for this ring. You can craft another 32% total resistances. So this gives this raise it up to 159 and has 57 maximum life. And this is your ring. You pay 10 kills again, the and then probably 3 kills for the craft, and you have a ring with 159 total resistances, 57 maximum life. And instead of paying 35 or 50 or 60 or 90 chaos for the ring, you paid only 14 chaos. And in the previous example, you even paid 8 chaos. So this is how you search. Another way to search would be to use veiled modifiers. Now, in my experience, veiled items are much harder to find with good stats. But still, you can make a trait filter and maybe you are lucky. So let's just say that your items need to have 120 and they need to be veiled. Um, let's just see what happens. So the rings here, as you can see, this is a ring that has only 127 resistance, but it has no empty suffix. The reason why we talk about veiled, if you once again go to Craft of Exile, you look here. Excuse me. So you go to Craft of Exile and you look here at the veiled items. They have some modifiers which gives you maximum life, regenerate mana per second. So if you were to buy this item right here, which has um, a veiled prefix, there's a high chance you can get the maximum life because it's a 43% chance. A better item would be one that also has an empty prefix, because an empty prefix means you can craft one of these modifiers like to maximum mana, and since they are in the same category, as you can see, they both have the identification number 6. It means their weight it's added, so it's a total of 1800 weight compared to these modifiers, which have a much higher chance of occurring, but they are different identification numbers, so their weight it's only 1000. So if you were to buy an item with a veiled prefix and an empty prefix, you would craft either one of these three mods. Then you would hit unveil, and there's a high chance that you would get the maximum life and regenerate mana per second. What you would do in this case, maybe lower the values even more and see what's available. And Maybe even look for um, ideally you would get um, this on a suffix, the veiled on a suffix, but honestly I don't know how you can search for veiled suffixes. Maybe there's something I don't know, but I'm not sure how to use veiled to use the trade site to search for veiled suffixes. But if you find an item that has, for example, this one right here, this would be a good bargain. It has a veiled prefix. You can definitely craft another prefix to guarantee, I mean, not to guarantee, but to increase your chance of revealing maximum life, and then you can just craft 32% resistances on your suffix. So that this would be a good drink. It's actually much worse than what you would get with the previous filters, but just as an idea, I showed you how to incorporate the veiled modifiers. Um, Another thing would be when you are making trade filters. For example, you let's just give as an example a weapon or an amulet. Um, for example, let's just say it's a wand. Since I'm playing Cold Dot, I'll talk about how I would search for a wand as soon as I finish the campaign. So my generic weapon would I want it to have to level of all called spell skill gems or to level of all spell skill gems. This should be a count because I need one of these at least. Then I would want also a count of increased spell damage or increased cold damage. Um, Actually, for a wand, you'd say increased cold damage as an explicit and also increased spell damage as an explicit. Spell damage as an explicit. So here I would put the value of 70 and I would want an end of uh, damage over time multiplier. And if I were to search for such a wand, let's just say damage over time multiplier 18 because this is a minimum craft. And here I forgot to put the count of one. As you can see, these ones right here, they are expensive. It's one listed for 20 chaos and then it goes up for 50, 100, 150. Another thing you could do, just lower the values a little bit, or you can search for a scepter. It's going to require different stats, but still, as you can see, it's still super expensive. However, there's a way around this. So for example, what I would do, I would not put this end right here. I would say I want a note. I don't want any crafted prefix. And also I don't I would put an account of empty suffix or a crafted suffix because that damage over time multiplier is a craft and voila, you pay 2 chaos for this. Look at this scepter. It has 32 increased elemental damage and 106 increased spell damage, which means 138 increased cold damage for my cold dot build. It has +1 to level of all cold spell skill gems, and I can replace the cast speed with cold damage over time multiplier. This uh, you have to know, you have to be aware of crafting and to do this type of trade filters, but it's not something that difficult. Um, if you go here and you look at wands or scepters, you can craft damage over time multiplier up to 20%. So instead of paying 50 chaos, 1 divine, you pay just 2 chaos and you get this item right here. You just pay 2 chaos and you get a wand that can carry you up to Ubers. Um, Another way to do it would be, hey, I don't want it to have uh, this damage over time multiplier suffix empty. I want it instead of saying I want cold damage or spell damage, I want to go like this. Um, I want it to have cold damage over time multiplier or damage over time multiplier. This should be a count of 1, and let's just put the value 21. I also wanted them to not have a crafted suffix. I actually could use because maybe there are some better ones. I wanted to have um, to not have to have an empty or crafted prefix, the prefix or crafted prefix, and let's just see what we get. So and it gives me this item right here which has increased spell damage. So I would put a tag of not. Don't show me if it has increased cold damage as an explicit or increased spell damage once again as an explicit. Let's just say if it's anywhere below 45, for example. So now it shows me this item right here. It has some chaos resistance, 26 cold damage over time multiplier, and uh, it doesn't have crafted spell damage, and it also doesn't have normal spell damage below the value of 45. You can play even further with this. Maybe you can just say um, instead of 21 you can put 30 to see what it brings up, and 30 here as well. And these are the results. For example, you pay 15 chaos for this one, and you can just go and craft yourself. This also has some cold resistance, and it also has an empty suffix, which is going to be important because you can exalt slam it if you want. But you can just pay 15 chaos for this one. It has +1, 41 cold resistance, 31 cold damage over time multiplier, and you can just go to the bench and you can craft up to 54% increased cold damage. I would still pick the one with 106 at 2 chaos because this is 15 chaos, but you can POB this stuff and see which is better before buying, but this is basically how you do it. Um, Another way you would use this once again with the veiled, but veiled modifiers are quite rare and they're not really usually worth it, but nevertheless you should definitely set up those filters because they can also help. Um, you could also use it as as I showed you before in my video with League Start tips to craft items. In that video I showed you an example of a shield that has a shield that has maximum life to maximum life as an explicit, let's just say 100, and uh, it needs to have a count of increased cold damage or increased spell damage. Let's just say 8, just put 100, see what we get. And also needs to have uh, an empty prefix or a crafted prefix like this, and it also needs to have an empty suffix or a crafted suffix as well. So you put so let's see what item we get. Forgot to put here one. this item right here is quite expensive, so we just lowered the values a little bit. Let's just say we put 80. See what we get. We get this item right here with 20 chaos, which is quite good to be honest. Maybe you can even lower the life a little bit, put 80 here, see what we get. Um, Once again, forgot, don't have any mirrored or corrupted when you do it like this. So this is a trade filter for an expensive craft, but that you can also, you don't really have to buy a fractured base to craft a very good item, just by knowing what to buy. Um, so this is a mixed. This still has one empty prefix. It has maximum life 69. I guess I made a mistake here. So it showed me one item with crafted life. You don't want an item like this. You want an item similar to this one at 20 chaos. And I'll show real quick how you would craft this item. You go to the emulator, create new. Mm, So this item right here, let's just say that it has this amount of cold damage and this amount of life, and it has a fractured fire to maximum fire resistance of 2, and this is fractured. And because it also has some lightning resistance, but you don't care about it, what you would do, you would go like this. You'd go to the bench, you'd hit uh, prefixes cannot be changed. Uh, uh, no, you would first, you want to have two suffixes, or at least one empty suffix. You would first craft something. You'd go to the bench, craft anything. It doesn't matter what you craft. Then, since we only have one suffix, we want another random suffix, but still one empty suffix. Now you would go craft prefixes cannot be changed. Now we have three suffixes. We would go to harvest. We would add remove cold because we have three suffixes. It cannot add a suffix, but it will guarantee it will add a cold suffix, a cold prefix. The only one that can happen is +1 to level for all cold skill gems. Now you would go once again. Craft prefixes cannot be changed if you want to, only if you want to. You don't have to do it right like this. This shield is good enough, but if you want to take it a step further, you'd go prefixes cannot be changed. You'd go use Aisling Veil and hope that it removes the bad suffix. If it doesn't remove the bad suffix, that's pretty much it. You can still, you can still, you actually you cannot recover it from this. What you could do if you don't want to break the item, um, you could probably go like this. Prefixes cannot be changed. Use Orb of Scouring. Once again, prefixes cannot be changed. Aisling. Then you would block something and then unveil, let's say, increased effect of curses, and craft your last craft like this. And this is a super good shield. This is a good shield, and you only pay 20 chaos for the base. But this is a bit more expensive, doing just for increased effect of curses and 10% chance to suppress spell damage. You don't really have to do it, especially in the beginning of the league. You can get a shield that is pretty much going to carry you 2 or 3 weeks without any problems. So this is how you would set up trade filters for uh, high-end crafts. Another way you could set up trade filters would be for bases. Like for example, previously I used to set up trade filters for either a scepter or a wand that has fractured to level of all spell skill gems. And in the beginning of the league, obviously non-corrupted, non-mirrored. And in the beginning of the league, you would buy one of these, an opal wand for like 1 to 2 divines. Whereas 1 week into the league or 2 weeks into the league, you'd pay 15 to 20 divines just for the base. Now, uh, things have changed a little bit for once because they don't no longer have this increased spell damage implicit, so you are going to search for scepters. But this is something that you should figure out for your own build. This is how you would set up trade filters for high-end crafts, and you can quickly buy them. You can snipe them off the market. Like for example, one item that I bought was an opal ring that has fractured increased cold damage. I guess it was 33% or something like that, or 13. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. And as you can see, they don't even exist on the market. They're so rare. They don't even exist on the market. Um, Usually, how you would craft such a ring would be, let's go to the emulator. Let's just see if another ring pops out. Yeah, so these items right here, they are worth. As you can see, they exist. Mine was about, I guess it was 33% cold damage, increased cold damage. Uh, like this, it goes from 31 to 34, but it was on an opal base, and the only way to obtain that base would be to use a fracturing orb, which is 1 and 4. And let's just assume that first week the fracturing orb is 2 divines. You would pay at least 8 divines, at least 8 divines for that item to happen. And the thing about having a trade filter, I bought that base for 3 divines or 2 divines, something like that. I just bought it for 2 or 3 divines. Because I had a trade filter instead of paying 10 divines. So this is the power of trade filters. Um, another thing, you another example of trade filters would be for unique items, but this is not something that you would use early on because I mean, you could use it early on, but most people will not have money to buy these spaces. Like, for example, Forbidden Flesh, um, Heart of Destruction. I know that this jewel is very expensive, so if I can make a trade filter and people that post this don't know the value of this jewel, and let's just say they sell it for 5 divines, they sell it for 1 divine, I can just snipe that and resell it later for 15, 20, 12, 14 divines, something like that, because I know this item is worth it. But this comes with your knowledge, and there are a billion unique items that you can look up to. Like for example, you can look up to uh, unique items with perfect rolls or very high rolls, things like that. Um, you can definitely look at jewels, at cluster jewels, also for crafting. If you wanna craft, if you wanna buy bases for crafting, especially early on, the attack jewels that give. There are attack jewels. I think they're below item level 68 or something like that. I have double check it on Craft of Exile, but there are some cluster jewels early on. I think even some of the minion one were good that you can buy early on for cheap for 1 to 2 chaos, and after that they go up to 2 or 3 divines in price. So this is, you can only obtain them if you have the trade filters set up or you know how to search them. But this is more about knowledge, and a lot of people are not either knowledgeable enough to know about these things, or they are not willing to spend the time to do the research to set up the trade filters. I personally don't do flipping. I only focus on progressing my character. Um, but you can definitely do flipping in this way. You can just buy a Heart of Destruction. Let's just say you pay 5 chaos for 5 divines for it, and you sell it afterwards for 30 divines or 15, 20 divines. Anyway, this was about how to use a trade site and how to set up trade filters. I hope you liked it and you have a great start.